Well, I just finished Dracula, and you know what? It's a mixed bag. I think it's a good film. At the very least, it's unique. And let's start with the positives. So, it's got this rich, colorful, and very visual style to it that's very its own. I'd say it's almost like something you'd find in an early Peter Jackson film or a Sam Raimi film, where there's just constant motion, superimposed images, playful color palettes and stuff. That was really engaging, and it struck me immediately. Like, as soon as the film starts, it's like, boom, it's really stylized, here it is. And then it's very campy, sometimes a little cheesy, but Anthony Hopkins and Gary Oldman know exactly what they're doing. They totally ham it up as Van Helsing and Dracula, and it's amazing. I loved it. And Winona Ryder does an amazing job as Mina, the sort of protagonist, sort of main human character that kind of anchors the audience, kind of plays the audience surrogate sometimes. She also has the strongest arc in the film. Really, it's about Mina, but through her eyes you get to see this world of vampires and vampire hunters, which is pretty cool. I wouldn't say it's scary, but it sets a nice gothic, creepy vibe, sort of like a Tim Burton film. So it is a good one to watch around Halloween. Now, I want to get into some negatives. First off, Keanu Reeves. I mean, I love the guy. He's great in John Wick and The Matrix and Bill and Ted. But he shouldn't have been cast in this thing. Yeah, it's kind of his accent. I was struggling because if I didn't know he was trying to be a British guy, I would think he was trying to play the character off like he has a lisp or something. That's how bad it is. And oh man, like, I love Keanu Reeves. I love him in many different films, but this was not his shining moment. Also, like I said, campy, almost to the point of cheesy. Sometimes it was cheesy. There are some baffling choices made. Like, I have some of them written down. So there's a scene where Dracula takes a human form and he's walking through the streets, and it's filmed like a old-timey like cinematograph with like choppiness and stuff, and it's kind of headache inducing. It doesn't, there's no reason it should have been filmed like that other than, hey, look, I'm different. Really, I just wanted to take in the atmosphere of old-timey London, and I couldn't because the film got in the way of itself. And then there's a scene where Dracula is like controlling a woman's body, and it shows CGI blood cells, like he's moving them. I did not need that. That's kind of, once again, baffling. There's some shaky cam and high frame rate, like POV shots, where Dracula takes the form of a wolf or something. It's just headache-inducing. It's just not a good choice. And the thing is, I wanted to get the positives first because there are a lot of great choices in this. Like the costume design and the makeup effects, they're all great. The production design, it's wonderful. There are a lot of little trinkets that really put you in the 1870s London vibe. And like I said, the performances, the core performances at least, are stellar. They know exactly what kind of movie they're in. But, I mean, points for originality, it's definitely not like any other Dracula adaptation I've ever seen. And it does a good job getting the sexual edge, the psychological edge of the vampire myth down. I would still recommend it. I wouldn't say it's the best film ever, though. And here is the ultimate point that I want to make with this film. This is Coppola starting to slip. Hey, so listening back, I seem pretty ranty about Dracula. It's actually a good enough film. If you like vampires and Dracula and all that, you're probably gonna like it. For me, it's just a matter of Francis Ford Coppola and its place in his downfall as a filmmaker, because it's a good vampire film, okay? But it's not on the level of what Coppola used to be capable of. And knowing that the downfall goes further just kind of makes bits of Dracula a little sad to me, given how much I've idolized Francis Ford Coppola. So my review of, or my ramblings post-movie of Dracula turn into a bit of a Francis Ford Coppola rant. So here's the Francis Ford Coppola rant. I recommend Dracula. You know, it's really not that bad. It's like seeing Martin Scorsese make a movie that's just fine, and instead of going from making Shutter Island to The Wolf of Wall Street and getting back on track, he just went further. And the thing is, looking back on Shutter Island, I know that's a fluke for Martin Scorsese. Looking back on Dracula, I know the worst is yet to come, and the road he's on leads to Jack. Or worse, it's this movie he made with Elle Fanning recently, and it's really bad. I forget the name. I'm just throwing it on the screen right now. Knowing that it leads to that, I'm like, he doesn't get better. He just keeps falling down this rabbit trail. Just felt like I had to get some of that cleared up.
Make no mistake, he must be stopped.
Up next, I want to lighten the mood up a bit. The first 3 films I've watched have been pretty heavy, pretty somber, pretty sad. I want to watch Tucker and Dale vs. Evil and just really let loose with some comedic gore and comedic thrills. I'm excited about this one. I've had it on my radar for years, so it's gonna be nice to finally see it. Tucker and Dale versus Evil. This was so thoroughly fun! I can't believe how much fun I just had. Right now, I feel so good. This movie is so wonderful. Okay, so on multiple levels. On one surface level, yes, there is some inventive and fun horror movie, slasher, gore, you know. It comes in little bits and pieces, right? So if you are a gore hound or a horror fan, you'll love it because it's a tribute to everything that makes a slasher movie a good slasher movie. But it's so much more than that, because Tucker and Dale are such sweet characters, especially Dale. He's a big teddy bear. And, his relationship with Allie, it's just so sweet. There's so much of a heart to this movie. And there are sincerely touching moments where I just put a hand to my heart and went, "Aww." And it's so funny. There were times where I was laughing out loud. And a lot of it is a comedy of misunderstanding. So basically the premise is these college kids go out to have a fun time, and obviously doom awaits a lot of them, as is custom for these kind of movies, but not in the way you expect. Normally it'd be like crazy hillbillies with chainsaws that descend upon them like Flight of the Valkyries or something, right? But the twist here, those killer hillbillies aren't actually killer hillbillies. That's just an assumption that the kids make. So they think that Dale and Tucker are really evil, but they're just sweet guys who rescue one of their friends from drowning and hold her at their cabin to rehabilitate her. These college kids then rally around this one guy named Chad. Of course, his name is Chad. And he, is a total psychopath. And he starts getting them to try to attack the hillbillies before they kill Allie. Thing is, the kids wind up comedically stumbling into their own deaths. I don't want to spoil any of them, but they're all accidental, and it looks like Dale and Tucker did it. So it just keeps on escalating. So what it all adds up to is a funny, thrilling movie that is accessible even if you aren't normally a horror movie fan. The likable leads and sincerity of the story and the humor, they'll keep you, entertained and invested. And then if you are a horror fan, you'll love it because it's got good horror sequences that, you're going to enjoy them. I would recommend this to almost anyone under the sun. There is some gore, of course, but it's kind of used to comedic effect. There are certain times where a gory moment would happen, and I would just, laugh because it was so shocking, and there was nothing I could do but laugh. After a day of some kind of depressing films, none of which had a really happy ending, it was nice to come across one that was just such a heartfelt, sweet, and funny farce that actually took itself seriously enough to actually remain an involving story. So I strongly recommend this. I loved it. It ain't perfect. If I'm nitpicking, the color palette was a little washed out and gray, although that might have been a deliberate choice to kind of play off the washed out colors of a lot of these slasher movies like Texas Chainsaw Massacre or something. And, there are some archetypes at play here that are maybe a little dated. But the thing is, it's playing off of these dated slasher movie cliches like the jock who, the group rallies around, or the hot girl, who has her obligatory scantily clad scene. It seems like it's more self-aware. I don't know how much of it is them being self-aware or not, but, you could rationalize a lot of it as that. They're paying tribute to a sleazy genre, so there are sleazy elements in it. Overall, this is a thoroughly enjoyable film. What a gem. It does not overstay its welcome. It is 88 minutes long, just long enough to be a feature-length film. And, this is great. Oh, and by the way, quick aside, Alan Tudyk is a Texas native, and I just want to point that out because I, too, am a Texas native. Specifically, he was born in El Paso, which is where my grandparents were born, and then he grew up in Plano, Texas, which is where my cousins live, and he went to Plano Senior High School. I just think it's really cool, because that's, really near me, and I go to Plano all the time. So, yeah, it's just kind of fun because Alan Tudyk pops up in all these random places because he's such a character actor. From Firefly to Rogue One to this movie. It's just always fun because I can never guess where he's going to pop up next, and I'm like, oh, it's that guy. That guy who is from basically the area I'm from. Anyway, kind of cool. Yeah. Love him lots. I'm gonna take a break overnight, and up next I'm gonna watch The Mist, the Frank Darabont adaptation of the Stephen King story. I'm excited, because I love Frank Darabont's work. His work on the first season of The Walking Dead is phenomenal. It's what got me into horror in the first place. And then, of course, The Shawshank Redemption is one of the films that makes me want to be a filmmaker. So, yeah, any chance to watch a Frank Darabont film, I'm down. Even The Majestic with Jim Carrey. It's a bad movie, but you're watching a Frank Darabont movie, and there are not many of those. So I'll take what I can get. Anyway, looking forward to The Mist. Bonus round. So me and the boys are gonna watch Snakes on a Plane. It is Feller movie night. Me and my friends, whom I call the Fellers, regularly spin a random wheel, and whoever's suggestion it is, we pick, we will watch. This happens on Fridays and Sundays normally. And tonight my friend Eduardo had suggested Snakes on a Plane. Perfect. It's just the kind of campy horror that marks this time of year stupendously. And Samuel L. Jackson yelling about snakes on monkey fighting planes or whatever it is he said.
Enough is enough! I have had it with these monkey fighting snakes on this Monday to Friday plane!
That's like always great cinema, just as a rule. Anyway, I'll watch that and get back.
Budget was only $36 million, and it only made 70 or 62 mil, so barely.
It almost doubled its.
It almost doubled, but that's. Yeah.
So guys,
shows Samuel Jerry.
Yeah.
I think the only reason why it did so successfully they had Samuel L. Jackson.
No doubt. So,
but
today
I'm not gonna lie, you kind of need like the run
Ryan.
Samuel L. Jackson.
Ryan, you egg, you dense egg. No. So all day. So I've been recording my initial thoughts after each horror movie I see. Would it be? And I'm gonna make a video about like the marathon, and this does count. So is it cool if I get your thoughts on this movie real quick?
Yes.
Okay. Just throw it out there. What did
I don't know. Snakes on a Plane had snakes and boobs, and I think that's an interesting pairing, but it wasn't bad. And also Samuel L. Jackson. But he didn't have the boobs or the snakes.
This movie knew what it was. It knew it was supposed to be silly, so it's so be silly, and that worked really well. Because it was just really fun.
Ryan?
I don't know. It was more than I was actually expecting, not gonna lie.
You didn't watch the movie.
And so, just so, for the record, let the record show Ahmed came in halfway through. Ahmed, what were your thoughts?
Disappointment.
Okay. Very honest opinion. Maybe don't analyze this too deeply. Because a lot of the characters were like, oh, the jock, or oh, the main protagonist, or oh, Samuel L. Jackson playing Samuel L. Jackson.
Okay. This movie had really good representation considering it was made in 2006.
Yeah, it was a very good verse.
It had a himbo bisexual king.
But it was not afraid to go all out for Snakes on a Plane.
Oh,
it had the funniest death where the guy just threw a dog at him.
And then the guy.
It also had like these deaths were crazy. They were all over the place. The guy gushing out like ooze because he got bit too many. It was fun. Yeah. It's not a great movie, but it's so fun.
For a 2006 horror movie, no black people died, as far as I can remember.
Every
pretty progressive.
Pretty good accomplishment.
Every person of color made it to the end credits, as far as I can remember. I think
that lady who was like having a good time in her dream with a snake did not make it out.
Oh, you're right.
It's really unfortunate.
Rip.
What about the lady who was barefoot and like snatched her foot?
I think she made it.
Right time, did she survive?
I didn't see her live or die.
Okay, so we don't know for sure. That means she survived.
It's a question mark. I gotta say, the two opening, like, I'll call them the inaugural kills. The Mile High Club kill, and then the man getting bit on the tip of his penis.
Those are awesome.
Those were amazing.
I forgot about that.
That was me.
That was awesome.
Yeah, it made me
completely.
I like crossed my legs extra hard when that scene happened.
I think every guy would have like grabbed his to make sure it's still there if they saw that scene.
Oh, all right. It's getting late. I gotta head out.
Okay,
See you
cool.
guys.
See ya. Thank you guys for your thoughts.
You're welcome.
Bye.
No problem. Bye, guys.
Wow, thanks guys. Yeah, Snakes on a Plane is a lot of fun. It is totally not to be taken seriously. It is not a good film or a great film by a long shot, but it is fun. And Samuel L. Jackson delivers one of the defining lines of his career.
Mother snakes, mother plane.
Yeah, the whole movie is worth watching just for that. And for, like Ahmed said, all the fun snake-related kills, it gets its mileage out of its premise, you know? I looked it up, and someone counted 450 snakes total used in the production of this film, and that's not even counting the CGI ones. So, if you want exactly what the title offers, Snakes on a Plane, it's almost as simple as that. It's a horror film in the same way that Aliens vs. Predator is a horror film. So, action horror. But not very scary, just very fun. So now I will go to bed, and then tomorrow I will watch Frank Darabont's The Mist.